Vancouver's housing prices soar into uncharted territory, but is it as bad as you think? Depends on who you ask and whether you're trying to buy a home or not. Deb Hope joins us now with more NewsHour Insight.
Yeah, that's for sure, Chris. For many prospective home buyers, the dream of buying a detached home in Vancouver will remain just that. A dream. The costs of a mortgage, taxes, and utilities take a huge chunk of the average income. And while it is high, experts say the numbers are skewed and it's not spiraling out of control as many perceive. Ted Chernecki explains.
Here's something you probably already know. If you're a young family of four just starting out in Vancouver's real estate market, you will never own this place. It's sold for $1.78 million, within reach of only the very wealthy or the seasoned homeowner who has already built up a lot of equity. If you do ever own a single detached bungalow, it'll be far from Vancouver's west side.
What we're really seeing is a big shift of younger people out into the suburbs where you can still afford a home. So places like the Fraser Valley or some other markets, you know, sub-markets of Vancouver, where affordability is still pretty strong, and we're seeing a lot of demand.
The Royal Bank has just issued its second quarterly review of housing affordability across Canada. To own a bungalow in Metro Vancouver, an average family would have to devote a staggering 92.5% of its pre-tax income to a single-family home. Compare that to 51.9% in Toronto, 42.6% in Montreal, 37.1% in Calgary, and 33.8% in Edmonton. But, say analysts, Vancouver's numbers don't reflect reality.
Over the last sort of year and a half, almost to 2 years, we've seen a dynamic where the price increases on the west side of Vancouver and Richmond have been much greater than they are elsewhere. And so our sort of overall number for the Lower Mainland is kind of being skewed by really high price increases in a small number of neighborhoods. So it's not the story that the whole Lower Mainland has really gotten is out of whack by our historic numbers.
The RBC study also suggests Vancouver housing is poised for a significant price correction, but not everyone agrees.
We don't agree. We believe that prices in Vancouver are going to come down. We're forecasting for prices to fall about 3%, maybe 5% next year. That's going to start happening in the second half of this year. It's already happening. And if you kind of look at average prices, they're already softening. We think that's going to continue, but we don't see a very large correction because there still is a fair amount of demand.
So yes, Vancouver has the worst affordability in the country, but that's always been the case. And if you take away those dramatic rises in some very expensive homes on the west side, the overall affordability in the rest of the Lower Mainland is pretty much status quo, with the possibility that we might actually see a very slight improvement in affordability by the end of the year.
And there is a silver lining in the high prices. Earlier this year, economists had expected the Bank of Canada to start raising its key rates this summer. But RBC expects that the central bank will now keep interest rates at the current low 1% until the middle of next year. And that is good news. People can put down as much money as they can before those rates start to go up again, Chris.